Hello everybody and welcome to a video on the Constructive Criticism YouTube channel. I'm Spencer, host of Constructive Criticism and Limited Time Only, two podcasts about getting better at Magic the Gathering. Today is Wednesday Night Warrior. It's a video that I do every week, whether it's about something that can help you get better at Magic, something that's going on in the Magic community, basically whatever I want to talk about. And this week, I want to talk about sideboards, and more specifically, sideboard guides. And the reason that I want to talk about this is it is a question that I get asked very, very often. Hey, do you have a sideboard guide for this deck? Do you have a sideboard guide for this deck? Hey, could you write up a sideboard guide for this deck? And I love helping people, so often I will do it. But I actually don't think it's very helpful, and it takes a lot of my time. So I'd like to kind of go over why I don't think it's helpful and what kind of person you need to be for it to be helpful for you. So let's talk about sideboard guides in general. So if you are a player who's pretty darn good at Magic and haven't played in a while, sideboard guides can be pretty helpful because they give you a snapshot into the format and what the decks are trying to do. It's just that. It's just a look at like, okay, this is how this deck is trying to interact with this deck and so on and so forth. I now understand the matchup better. If you're trying to understand how to sideboard, it actually doesn't do that. It just gives you a guide on what to take in and what to take out. You don't actually know why. When you're a really good player, you can look at that sideboard guide and understand the intricacies and why you're trying to take out certain cards. When you're just trying to learn how to sideboard, this actually isn't helping you learn how to sideboard. And that's because there's a lot going on behind the scenes in your head when you're deciding how and what to sideboard. And those things are really important. So, you know, if you think about it this way, it's like the teach a man to fish thing, right? I can give you a guide that's how I would do it, but then what if they bring in Blood Moon or something? So that things just change, and you can't just rely on this piece of paper to tell you what to do. You know, one of the things that I usually recommend to people is before I give you a sideboard guide, how about you build your own, and then we'll compare my guide to your guide and see what the differences are and how they look. Because in that case, you're actually doing the exercise to go ahead and figure out what needs to happen in the sideboarding exercise. And then when I show you my guide and you don't understand something, we can have a conversation about why it's different than yours and what we think. Or maybe even if I'm wrong. And that's a much more productive conversation than hand me a piece of paper that says how I'm supposed to sideboard in each match. You know, this is, I think, really hard for a lot of people to grasp and understand that sideboarding is different and has many intricacies to it. You know, one of the other reasons to build a guide yourself is that, like, let's just say that this isn't just you asking for my guide. Like, you're building a deck, and you want to understand how to sideboard with the deck. If you actually build the guide yourself, you actually can understand, like, oh man, I have way too many cards in the control matchup. I need to change this. I need to have less of these and fill my sideboard with other slots because I have too many cards and not enough cards to take out. Or I need to change my main deck, or things like that. Like, you actually will understand how your deck is built and if it's built correctly just by doing this exercise yourself. You know, the other thing to think about when you're looking at something like a sideboard guide is the intricacies that I keep mentioning. Things like the player, the draw. You're going to sideboard very differently on the player, the draw. I sent somebody a sideboard guide the other day, and they're like, oh, I can't believe you took out 2 mana ramp against control. I was like, actually, I would never do that on the play, but I would do that on the draw. But I didn't want to write out a play versus draw for every matchup for you because it takes a lot of time. But the thing is that's true. You have to think about whether you're on the play or the draw when you're writing out this guide or when you're just doing it, right? When you're actually sideboarding, you have to think about, like, okay, so, like, do I have to have something on turn 2 to make my deck faster? Do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? And the intricacies of what the important turns of the game are for you will affect what cards you want in and out of your deck. You know, the other thing is, we kind of mentioned Blood Moon, right? Like, what if your opponent brought in something you didn't expect? You might have to reach back in and get something else. And if you're just relying on a list, you're not going to know that. You're not going to think about that. But when you learn how to sideboard and how your deck wants to sideboard, you can do that on the fly and kind of understand what's needed in those situations, which is really important and really powerful. You know, the other thing to think about here is, what if your opponent reached back in? What if between games 2 and 3, they reach back in? That's something you need to think about. You need to know, why would they be reaching back into their sideboard? What could they have? How could I interact with the thing that they could have? And that's really important. That's something that you need to be able to, instead of relying on a piece of paper, understand where to go from here. What could they be reaching back in for? How can I interact with them before this game even starts by reaching back in and checking my sideboard and see if I can figure out what they're doing to try and gain an edge that way. This is all little things that you can be doing to try and get an edge in sideboarding that a sideboard guide doesn't really help with. I think that it's too easy to want to take shortcuts in Magic, but instead what you could do is every time you build a deck or every time you get a deck list, you could write a sideboarding guide for the play and the draw for all of your important matchups and learn a ton before a match even starts with Magic. And it will give you a huge edge once you get to the tournament. That way, you know how to adjust on the fly. You know what your deck wants. You have that information stored in your brain that you've worked hard to gain. Getting a list from somebody else doesn't do that for you. And once you play against somebody that has that information in their head, you're at a disadvantage. So, those are my thoughts on sideboard guides. You can always ask me for them. I'll still give them to you. I understand that some people, they need them. They don't feel comfortable. My recommendation to you, though, is if you don't feel comfortable, do what I'm saying. Write your own. It is so much better than getting it from somebody else. And then have a discussion about it. Talk to your friends. Talk to the person that gave you the deck list. Do these things so that you have context into matchups, that you have a way to go and talk to people. One of the best things about being on in a group of people that plays Magic is being able to talk about Magic with them, and you leveraging those conversations to improve at the game is so powerful and so meaningful in so many ways because it just catapults you so much quicker. And sideboarding is a huge part of that. If there are two things that I would tell people, to really help them become better at Magic, it's sideboarding and mulliganing. Those are the things that you can try and perfect and get really good at to gain an edge that other people don't have. So, thank you everybody for watching this week. Those are my thoughts on sideboard guides. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think of this video. Don't forget to check out the other content on the Constructive Criticism YouTube channel. I do a deck tech every week. I do 2 podcasts on there every week. We're about to have another podcast on there every week. Hopefully in the near future, after I move in August, I'm gonna start putting other content like draft videos and stuff on there. Right now, every time I stream, I try to put some of the stream on there. So thank you everybody for watching. Don't forget to check out the podcast on constructivecriticism.com, and don't forget to check out puremtgo.com, where I post these videos every week with some awesome content and an awesome editor. So thank you everybody, and we'll see you guys all next week. Hey everybody, I hope you really enjoyed that video. I just have a quick update from Constructive Criticism. Maybe 2, I'm not sure. So we are adding a 3rd podcast to our podcasting network called Common Knowledge. It is like a sister podcast to Constructive Criticism and Limited Time Only. Instead of focusing on limited or constructed, it actually focuses on Pauper. So it is a show about getting better at Magic the Gathering with a focus on Pauper play. Pauper is an amazing format. It is inexpensive, it's extremely fun, and with the amazing new tournaments that Wizards of the Coast has provided to us in the form of the Pauper Challenge each weekend, there's now a real chance to make money at the format. And so for people that love competitive play and want to explore this amazing format that we really do love, Pauper is a great thing to have content on now. And so because of that, because of our focus on competitive Magic and Pauper being so accessible for so many people, it gives people a chance to get into Moto, get into a format that they can become competitive in and really have a chance to shine in, and we wanted to highlight that. It's going to be hosted by Manny Morez, former host of Constructive Criticism, and Kyle, a new host, a new member joining the team, and we're really excited about it. You can watch it every week here on YouTube. You'll also be able to find it wherever you can find your podcast. It's just going to be called Common Knowledge, and you will also just be able to find it in our RSS feed. That's hard to say. So if you love our podcasts and you are excited and you want to learn about Pauper, get started into Pauper, or if you love Pauper and you've never heard of us before, this show will be very similar, hopefully, to our other shows in a real focus about getting better and always improving, but this time focused on a format that's really, really accessible. So really excited about that. With that said, it's possible that we keep doing stuff like this. If you go to patreon.com/ccmdg and become a patron of the network, the more funds that we have, I want to be able to pay people to do podcasts and to help them and produce them with them. These guys are these guys that are doing the common knowledge one, they're not getting a lot right now. They're excited about it. It's going to be really fun for them. But I would like to get to the point where we can launch new shows and pay people. So go to patreon.com/ccmtg, become a patron, and let's make it easy for people to make new content with the help of somebody who's been doing it for a while, and people that have been doing it for a while. Between myself and my technical producer, I think we have a setup that we can start launching new podcasts, new videos, streams, things like that. And so go check it out, constructivecriticism.com, patreon.com/ccmtg, and go to constructivecriticism.com, see the other things that we're doing. We're really excited about it, and I just want to give a huge shout out to Manny and Kyle for jumping on this and working hard behind the scenes right now to get up to date on Popper, make sure that everything that they understand the format really well before diving in. It should come out at the end of this month here in July for the first episode, and we're really excited about it. So thank you everybody for all you do now, but also thank you so much for the future and for supporting these guys in their new amazing podcast that we're really excited about. So thank you so much and have a wonderful day.